If you've picked up oysters from a market recently, you may have to think twice about eating them.
The Florida Department of Aquaculture is recalling raw oysters harvested in the Cedar Key that could be linked to salmonella. TV20's Lali Salachi tells us many along the Gulf Coast didn't even know.
Like I said, I'd be awfully surprised to hear something like that.
A health warning has been issued that links to raw oysters and shellfish. According to the Florida Department of Health, officials in Georgia and Alabama detected a salmonella outbreak from raw oysters traced back to Cedar Key.
I actually found out because someone ordered a dozen oysters, and I walked to the chef. I was like, hey, I need a dozen oysters. And he was like, oh, they just got recalled, so we can't do them. And they sell a lot up there.
Officials linked 8 cases in those states and in Florida. Topping says businesses may be affected.
Honestly, not good, because that's how we make most of our money, is through oystering and clam farming, but clam farming didn't get affected, so I'm not too sure about that.
They initiated a recall of oysters from this harvest area from December 16th to February 24th. And some Cedar Key business owners say they didn't know about the situation until today.
I haven't heard anything personally about an outbreak of salmonella, but something like that, Cedar Key is such a small little community that if something was going on, we would know about it.
According to officials, some symptoms of salmonella to look out for are diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and fever within 12 to 72 hours after eating a contaminated product.
You know, being from Cedar Key for, like I said, almost 20 years now, the whole town would rally around anything concerning that, because the clam business in town it's our biggest industry by far.
Officials with the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services have closed harvesting area FL 3012 off the coast of Cedar Key until further notice. Lali Salachi, TV 20 News.